I am doing absolutely fantastic. I had a pretty good day today.
Well, I'm
Pretty
glad
good
to hear
day.
it. Glad to hear
Yeah.
it. And I do apologize. I'm actually just sending you. I shouldn't say that. I'm in the process of copying the notes so I can send them to you. But yeah, no, it's that was so much fun. I mean, to me, a lot of times when some of these folks come on that have been doing this for a little while, they can really bring a very kind of different perspective,
Yeah.
it's enlightening, it makes you think in different directions, which is a really good thing.
Hey, you sent me something on Facebook earlier today about a picture of an alien that you
Yes,
saw on, I believe it's Reddit, that you saw
yes,
it.
yes,
And I'm curious about this because I'm showing the letter to our our YouTube audience. So for our radio audience, it's a black and white still. There's 64F-3.
and Dave, I want to just take a side note to be funny. This is actually in my notes, so you're actually covering item number 4 right now, so thank you very much for
Well,
thinking like me.
well, this was posted on Reddit. It says so. This slide was posted on 4chan POL board or poll board, claiming to be a leak from the Pentagon 2 nights ago by someone on the inside, in quotation marks. Reverse image sites come back with no previous results anywhere on the internet. The thread rapidly was archived. John, I'm curious about this photo because we see someone who almost looks transposed in there, a human that is wearing it looks like a radiation type suit. And
Yeah,
there is,
yeah, I don't care about him. He's not the important part. It's the other guy that's important.
well, an alien gray standing there.
Yeah, yeah, with really bad posture, by the way.
Yeah, and a beer gut.
Yeah, yeah, yep.
What's
So,
your thoughts on this?
so, so all delivery and everything aside, I think in pictures, and so to me, the ability to take a picture and dissect it, it's beautiful and it's very easy and it's kind of a lovely thing. And if you take this picture and you run it through some of the algorithms out there that do image matching for reverse lookup. So I don't just mean going to like Google Images, that's important to do that, but also use tools like Pinterest where you can highlight certain areas where it'll look for shape matches. So it'll look for things where people are standing in the same pose, but maybe their clothes are totally different, because a lot of this stuff will end up being manipulated in incredibly, it's like some of the best pictures that have been faked have been pictures where like 90% of the picture has been a real Air Force picture, and they've just added two things and changed one thing and completely changed the picture, and it was that easy for them to do. And so those are the kind of things you have to look for. And I didn't spend hours, but I spent a little bit of time like doing this, and I could find nothing. I really couldn't find a thing. And so now it could be unique art, right? If you paint an absolutely unique picture, the same thing will happen. Um, but I gotta say that from a pure picture reflective point of view, I think it's interesting, and I would love to I would love to see this investigated. My gut feeling is it'll be proved to be nothing. But I have to admit, the fact that it's been so hard for me to find even any kind of similar picture, it's kind of odd. Kind of
I
odd.
am worried about that the photo does look highly overexposed.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. And it's clearly cropped. It's clear that there was more to the picture, because it doesn't really make sense that you would have, if that really is an alien, it doesn't make sense that you would have the alien off to the side of the picture. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that's just weird, right? Like oh, I took a picture and oh look, there happened to be an alien sitting. No. You're taking a picture of the alien. The guy is the side story, right? So this is clearly a crop picture. So there's a ton of spookiness to this, but I got to admit, it does appear to be a relatively unique image, and that says something. So it could just be unique art, in which case, hats off to the guy or gal that did it. It's beautiful. Maybe turn it into an NFT, make some money. But for now, we wait and we monitor. The good news is that Reddit, the folks on Reddit are pretty aggressive, and so my guess is that it'll be run to ground pretty quickly. At least that's my hope.
All right. As we continue on with the Unbiased UFO report here with the fedora wearing Jon Hudson, and we absolutely love it when Jon is in here going on. There's some news around Luis Elizondo and everything that goes around him. He's doing the big public tour once again, my friend, regarding UFOs. So I'm curious what your thoughts are about Lou and everything that he's doing right now.
So I think I think Lou is someone who you it's weird, but in a way you really have to take him at his word, almost at like a fanatical level, in that essentially he really just says what he's going to do. And if you think about what he's been talking about for the last couple of months, I mean, everything went quiet and he came out and said, oh yeah, we slowed things down because it was getting a little crazy. Don't worry about it. And then like a little while later, he said, oh yeah, it's going to speed back up again. And I mean, like he's basically telling us what happens, right? And so essentially, as far as I'm concerned, if you believe what he's been saying, and you have to at least believe what he's saying is true for in the context of what he is physically doing. And so, to me, this is just, the on schedule next gear within the transmission, right? I mean, it's like, it to me, it just seems like the next phase. What exactly that phase is and what it entails. Sadly, I'm not one of the cool kids that gets to find that out, but it's clearly, look, I mean, here's the part that I find interesting. So I as I mentioned before, I used to fly out. I used to fly a lot. I used to fly like 100,000 miles a year all over the world. I've been like 14, 15 countries giving talks, right? And when you're going out to give a talk, when you're going out to give a series of talks, you're giving up so much of your own life. You're giving up so much of your own personal time that it's really important to you that you actually make an impact. That like the reason why you're going means something, right? That it was important that it was you that went, sort of thing. And I think most people are like that. And so you have to ask yourself, okay, so what does Lou think he's going to get out of all this exposure? And so what I have to think is that it's not about Lou getting exposure. It's about Lou getting the exposure to release some information. And so I have to believe that this is part of a buildup toward an information release. To me, that's the only thing that makes sense. I could be completely wrong, but that's my gut.
I tagged you in this on Twitter earlier today, but Daniel Otis, the writer who helped us break the UFO story in Canada last week,
who has a great sense of humor, by the way.
He does. He actually got a copy of the letter from Minister or Member of Parliament Larry Maguire to Deputy Minister of Natural Resources John Hannaford. And there's some highlighted areas in there that I just want to go over with you.
Oh, please.
And basically it says, has Natural Resources Canada ever received incident reports of drones or unidentified aerial phenomena, in brackets UAP, in or near Canadian nuclear facilities? Please find enclosed open-sourced incidents provided by Chris Rutkowski. Are reports of drone or UAP violations in and around nuclear facilities publicly disclosed? He goes on to say, I believe it would be prudent for Atomic Energy of Canada Limited to proactively reach out to their American counterparts to discuss their efforts and to inquire how they are handling these reports and investigations. But it goes to page number 2. And for people who have been following, well, people who have been following this for quite a long time here on Spaced Out Radio may recognize what I'm about to say. All right? And that's a big hint here. A big hint. And the letter goes on to say, I met with Mr. Luis Elizondo, who was involved in the Pentagon's Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program from 2008 to 2017. He provided a high-level, unclassified outline of the issue. The information he provided on UAP has been previously shared in public interviews. I have also met with representatives of the Scientific Coalition of UAP Studies, which included Canadian representatives who also could not confirm any government efforts to study this issue. The stigma surrounding this issue is the greatest barrier to better understand this issue. It is encouraging to see it subside, as it should allow the matter to be publicly acknowledged and studied in an open and transparent way. I love it.
Oh,
the reason
beautiful.
why is it confirms everything that we have said on this show for 2 years, where we said the MPs were talking to major players in the UFO world. And it was all
that person just yelled bank and just basically took a bunch of floating objects that were in an unknown category and just put them in lovely labeled boxes of boom, 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 boom. It's gorgeous. I mean, it's like presents. It's like Christmas.
And once again, I'm going to pat ourselves here at Spaced Out Radio on the back for this, because a lot of this is, believe it or not, our doing. I can't go into more detail than that right now, but I can say this, that everything that we have talked about, where people were saying, come on, tell us your sources, tell us what's going on, it's all in that letter. We knew Elizondo met with them. We broke it last week that the SCU, along with Hal Puthoff, had been part of these meetings. All right? This is very, very cool for us, man. And I have to take the moment to brag here. I do, because we've been working hard on this. And the fact that Daniel Otis was able to get that letter out and get that confirmed, I love it. I absolutely love it.
No, and the thing that I love about it too is that, you know, a lot of the information that's covered, like is like we said, it's information that's already come out, and you know, very often that's all we get. And the fact that, you know, people put in the effort to actually get the confirmation letter, essentially. Got to get the confirmation letter, right? Signed by the parents, you know, and boom, you know, you have this beautiful, mark on your map that says, okay, you know, this is. I was especially surprised by the declaration of what years Elizondo was serving. I was like,
well, the other thing that was interesting on Twitter, I don't know if you saw it, but Chris Rutkowski actually tweeted me and said, I met with Elizondo also.
Yes. Yeah. Like I said, that was part of the thread that made me realize what a good sense of humor he has. He's got a very dry sense of humor. No. And the thing is that, you know, am I honestly surprised that Elizondo met with him? Absolutely not. You know, if it was convenient to do so, I have seen no reason why Elizondo would not. Elizondo honestly really actually seems like a nice, decent human that would be very friendly in most cases, right? So, you know, to me that makes perfect sense, and you know, and it's certainly kind of a feather in his cap to show that, you know, he was seen as kind of a trusted source. But you know, I mean, and honestly, you know, one thing that makes it really easy to believe is that we know there's only like 30 of you in Canada. So, I mean, it's got to be, you know, you got to be doing all this stuff on your own, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But you know what? It just goes to show sometimes, and I realize the UFO public doesn't like it, John, but sometimes you have to keep your sources close in order to get the story out at a future date. This is what happened here with this story. In order for it to come out, I had to keep my sources close. I couldn't reveal who they are. I couldn't reveal that I knew Elizondo had met with the MP until it was brought out. And very much so, it's a good day. And you know what? I think it's great that Canada is finally getting into the UFO game on the political level. I think it's fantastic because it's going to support whatever happens south of the border as well. John, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. We're going to continue the Luis Elizondo talk and more from the fedora-wearing Jon Hudson on the Unbiased UFO Report when we return here on Spaced Out Radio. Stay tuned. Good segment there, buddy.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. It's dropped it funny. I was like sending you like the notes like right as you threw that picture up. I was like, awesome.
That was good timing. I wanted to ask you about that tonight, so I'm glad you put it up there. Mm-hmm. The hell are time crystals?
Well, it's funny. That's actually what I'm trying to find right now a cleaner explanation that ties it all together. But basically, what it is this is a real world. This is real world science, kind of bumping into the very old slide deck of Edgar Fouché.
Very nice. Very nice. That was some nice zebra action there.
Yeah, no kidding. There was a bunch of them.
Yeah, let's see if they're still there. Oh, we got a, hold on. We got a, what do we got here? We got a, come on, share. There we go. We got a gnu or a wildebeest. There's a zebra way in the background over here. Then we got a wildebeest right here. Boy, we've had springboks, zebras, and now a wildebeest hanging on a, God, that's ugly. Seriously. That is ugly. Oh, why did I do that? I didn't have to do that. Hold on, let's just go like this. Kill that one. And then we'll go like this. There we go. Look at that. Oh, they're going to zoom in. They're doing a lot of zooming in this morning. Whoa, look at those birds. What the hell are those? Those some sort of weird looking crow? Boy, those antlers look sharp. I wouldn't mess with that wildebeest. Unless I was like a lion. Remember the Great Space Coaster? Gary Gnu? There's no GNUs like good GNUs with Gary Gnu. All right. We got about 1 minute. Big thank you to Cat Chaser, Phil, Doug, Michael, Jim Bob, Ghost Dragon, Tits McGee ×2, Thomas, Stefan, and Steve for the amazing super chats tonight. Thank you so much for the love that you guys are supporting us. If you're wondering what the hell this is on camera here, this is a live camera out of Namibia. It is 9:34 in the morning over there. They're 10 hours ahead. And I just found this channel like about a month ago or so, and I just find it like totally relaxing. So I throw it up here every now and again when there's animals. And finally, we got some animals. This has been fantastic. Excuse me. Where are we at? We got about 40 seconds. Mm-hmm. All right, John, 15 seconds. We're rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to remind you that if you have missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading up on Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight with the Unbiased UFO Report with the fedora-wearing Jon Hudson. John, we are sticking with Luis Elizondo here because he kind of dropped a big name here. Basically that we needed to check Neil's calendars for proof that AATIP meetings were held. What is this all about?
Yeah, so as I said, there are people in this world that actually just say exactly what they mean and what they're going to do, and we're not used to it, so it's a little off. But he appears to be in that mode at this point. Because he just laid it out for us. He just said, "Oh, and by the way, there's this one guy, Neil. You should check his calendar. It's really important." and so luckily for us, needless to say, people were paying attention, as people tend to do. And so what we have is we have a person by the name of Klaus, to give him some credit, who drew attention to the fact that this is who Elizondo was talking about when he urged the Pentagon to check Neil's calendars for proof that AATIP meetings were held. And what he provided is a nice 2-page document, some of which is quite redacted, that basically goes into detail about what his name is Mr. Neil what would you say, Tipton, I believe,
Tipton.
Tipton, a director for Defense Intelligence, Collection and Special Programs, Office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence. And that's just like one sentence of a whole lot of government gobbledygook. This guy has been doing this for a long time. He's been doing it well. And this guy is, 38 years in signal intelligence. Man. Yeah.
So why is this guy important to UFOs?
So basically, if he hadn't been involved with UFOs, he wouldn't be important. What's important is that Lou Elizondo is able to call out this individual who's clearly a very well established, very respectable individual that held a position of authority during his time, and he is someone who Elizondo is saying interacted with the AATIP program. So if you want proof that the AATIP program was doing things, go check his calendar. You will find appointments on there. And so what he's doing is he's throwing people a bone. He's saying, look, if you want proof, go check his calendar. That's where you'll find proof.
Very interesting.
I mean, it's
Very
kind
interesting.
of like, here's a bone, go chase, you know?
Well, I think it adds another name to the puzzle because everybody was always asking who was Elizondo working with at the Pentagon. And of course, we're not going to recognize any of the names, but over time, these names like Neil Tipton are going to leak out.
Well, especially considering that if you go down to the end of this article, it says in his tense, you know, this is only a partial list of individuals I worked with in AATIP who can substantiate my role if necessary. Is that in Elizondo's tense, or is that in his tense? I think that's in his tense. If necessary, I can provide the names of other individuals from the Central Intelligence Agency, Department of the Army, Department of the Navy, the Office of Director of Intelligence, the Senate staff. Many of these individuals received regular briefings from me, and particularly in meetings involving the program and its investigation of UAP phenomenon. I'm not sure what tense that's in. Do you know, Dave? That sounds like it's in his.
Totally does.
That's really nutty. I didn't catch that earlier. Wow. Yeah, this was not an individual who was, you know, who had a bunch of jobs and was occasionally bothered by this. This is someone who was dedicating a significant amount of their energy to it.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, let's move on here, John, as we look at Roderick Martin. Who is this gentleman?
So I want to talk about this for multiple reasons. One, so Roderick Martin is he's a MUFON investigator from I think Texas. I think it's Texas. He's also an experiencer himself. He witnessed something when he was, I believe, 12. He said, and he's got a real passion for this. And he kind of got his start from a social media point of view with the Clubhouse tool. He started a UFO Clubhouse area very early, and was noticed by the Clubhouse startup staff as kind of, you know, someone who had potential. And so he was kind of chosen as someone to kind of showcase. And this has continued to snowball. And at this point, his UFO channel has 24,000 people in it, which is not, you know, small thing, right? And on top of providing a platform for other people to open up rooms and have discussions, he runs a very, attempt to be a professional weekly show where he really kind of puts on a very entertaining, you know, package sort of a thing. And the thing is that, you know, I could see some people being a little bit standoffish with him because he comes off as being extremely business savvy and extremely marketing savvy. But, you know, with that said, I don't think he's necessarily using it for nefarious means. But the other thing that I found very, very interesting is that essentially when you know, and I've interacted with Roderick a little bit. He's a very, very nice gentleman. The way he treats people he interviews is it's lovely. He's a really kind soul. But when it all started, it was actually all because of Anjali, right? That's actually what got that whole thing started. It was him getting Anjali to come on the Clubhouse and give talk. That's what that's what got the whole thing. That's how the whole thing blew up. Now, I didn't catch the last like 30 minutes or something of his interview today, but in the first 2.5 hours that this guy was interviewed, he didn't mention her once. Now, he doesn't have to. And I think it's a mistake for us to too closely bound the interviewer and the interviewee in any way, shape, or form, right? You have to have some separation between those things, right? But to me, it still is somewhat of a potentially important data point, considering what we recently found out about you know, her story. You know, that essentially this might be an indication that there's some separation going on there as well.
Speaking of Anjali, Steve Cambion from the Truth Seekers podcast announced today that he is actually scheduled an exclusive interview with Wayne, the gentleman whose property that Anjali claims has a cave on it with aliens. And
Steve,
I don't know
if
how
you're watching this show, if you ever watch it, but my respect for you, man, just like went, wow.
I mean,
Very
I
good.
think it's great.
I'm in
Okay.
awe.
I'm surprised that he got him to do it, and congratulations
I am shocked that he
for
got him
that.
to do it.
But
Wow.
are we pushing this Anjali story a little too hard to try and literally wreck her credibility as a person?
Okay. I think it's good that you said that, and I think that there is always the danger of that. However, I will applaud Cambrian and some of his others, his kind of his group, in that I've been surprised a number of times where I've seen these very critical examinations of her, and then they've ended up falling back to a position of, but we have to consider that there could be, this going on and this going on and this going on and this going on. I'm kind of surprised the number of times that they really kind of offer a pragmatic out for her, in a very kind of understanding way, which I find a little surprising. But I think that in the context of what we've seen, I don't think that can be said yet, because of the fact that Wayne has been as much of the discussion as she has been from the very beginning. Wayne has been front and center, and it hasn't been Wayne. It's been the ghost of Wayne. And so if Wayne's willing to talk, he deserves the chance. And he absolutely deserves the chance. And so as long as he's doing it because he thinks he's going to get something out of it, then I'm all for it, right? But I don't really know, I mean, it's like, it's hard to say. I don't know. I don't know if I would see it that way.
I want to hear that now, and I will be honest, I will be tuning in to Truth Seekers and Steve Cambion for that. And you know what? Steve is I may not agree with a lot of his shows, but he is a pit bull when it comes to gaining information. And
no, look, you can disagree with his methods, but his goals are dead on, right?
Well, on most parts. And I will say this, okay? Nobody wins in this story. Okay, you're going to have, Wayne has already come out publicly. Let me finish.
Yeah.
Okay. Wayne has already come out publicly saying that there is no mountain, there is no cave. We believe Anjali was hallucinating off of marijuana oil or CBD oil, whatever you want to call it. All right. And that's where she saw the aliens in the cave. But number two, let's just say Wayne and his wife want to get out of the story because they aren't happy with the way Anjali has presented what truly happened.
Mm-hmm.
All
Totally
right.
possible.
Now we have him coming on, denying it all, which puts egg on Anjali's face, and we're still no better off for the truth. But what we have is another potential experiencer who's been shot down in flames because somebody doesn't want to corroborate her story. So
agreed. No,
go ahead.
I was going to say the flip side is I agree with everything you said, but I would disagree with the fact that there's no value in it. In that essentially, when she first came onto the scene, I cannot tell you how many conversations I got into with people, side conversations, private conversations, that start out with like, "Are you watching this? I'm getting worried." And what the worry was about was the fact that there were so many new people coming into this because of everything that's going on. And they were all coming in with this very trusting, open mind to absorb the information that a lot of us are providing. And then you had this new person that was providing information that, we were really unsure of, And so there was a huge danger of her leading a whole bunch of lemmings right off a cliff and souring a bunch of people on this entire topic for 10, 20 years for no good at all. And we might have sidestepped all of that. right? I mean, think about how many people got burned by, their ups and downs with Lazar, or their ups and downs with what's the guy's name who went to jail, but he had the cool videos of the shadow people. Anyway, but you know what I'm talking about. I mean, this has been going on for years.
Well, I find it interesting. I really do.
Oh yeah, it's yeah, absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I'm very, I'm very curious to see how this plays out. I think in the end, no matter what, Anjali gets egg on her face. She will continue to fight her own lonely mortal fight. And, we'll see what happens.